Hello, Pleasant Valley Middle Schoolers. Mr. Ramos again, talking about walking and running. And whereas in the first video we focused on balancing on the stance leg, now we're going to talk about what happens when that leg becomes the push leg, right? When that leg drives us forward. And the joint that generates most of that power is your hip joint. Your hip joint's the biggest joint in the body. The biggest muscles are attached to it. So we need to learn how to do a movement called hip extension. And that drives us forward when we're running or walking, really. Obviously at different speeds, right? Different levels of effort. So we're still thinking about the tripod foot on the foot we're standing on, because these are still going to be balance drills. But we're going to think about driving through the hip. We kind of started working on this, but we did. When we did the hip hinges, hip extension, right? When we did the squats, hip extension, okay? When we did even the lunges. It gets kind of fuzzy on the lunge because you're pushing back. But this one's a hip extension. And this one, as you push back, it's coming into hip extension. But we're going to make it a little bit more obvious, a little bit more running, similar to running, with the moves that we're going to practice today. So the first one we're going to practice is this movement right here, but we're going to get on a 1 1/4 leg stance. Switch here. There you go. There you go. Look at my feet, right? I'm going to have one foot kind of in a quarter stance. I'm just going to have a kickstand there, toes on the ground. And then I'm going to reach forward on the one I'm standing on and drive through. Reach forward and drive through. Switch. So you see this hip? Reach forward and drive through. And I'm focusing on taking this hip right here and driving it forward when I stand up. Now, if that's easy, right? That's easy, then we can start making it a little bit more like running. And I know you can't see my head, but my lower body is what matters right now, okay? So we're gonna make it a little bit more like running and go into what's called a reverse lunge. So we're gonna sit back into a squat, and that kickstand is gonna go backwards, and we're gonna catch ourselves on our toes, and we can start doing that contralateral arm action. And when we drive through, we're gonna drive through into that one leg balance. So the foot goes back, and we're gonna drive through into that one leg balance. My balance is not great right now. It's because I'm looking at the camera. Anyhow. So, and this position is the same position we were working on when we did our marches. Okay, same position. We're balancing the trap of the foot, and this other foot is right here next to our leg, not in front, next to our leg, also kind of flat to the ground. Okay? Right here. See? You can't see the heel because it's right next to the other heel. Okay? But over it. Finally, we're gonna not put that foot down. Okay, we're gonna work even more in balance by reaching back with those toes, sitting on this hip, and as we come up, we come back to that marching stance. Sitting back on the hip, and as we come up, we come back to that marching stance. That one is way harder than the other ones in terms of balance, right? It leaps quite a bit. But like all the things we've worked on, if you work on the basics first, then eventually the harder versions will become possible. Okay? So, just a quick review. Work on the 2-leg hip hinge. Work on the staggered stance hip hinge. Then on that reverse lunge with running arms. And then we keep the foot in the air and hinge and hip extend on that one stance foot. Wait. Keep cutting my head off. Thank you for your patience with my head cutting. I'll see you guys in class.